Welcome back. A very warm welcome to Nikki Goss, a manager from the Earthquake Support Coordination Service, and Joe Aldridge, manager Canterbury Earthquake Temporary Accommodation Service. They're both here to talk to us about the various support and social services that are available to residents in Canterbury. Firstly, I'd like to chat with Nikki. The Earthquake Support Coordination Service has been around for quite a while now, October 2010?
That's correct, yes.
That seems like a long time ago now.
It does, yeah.
How did it come about in the first place?
It was very quickly identified that the people of Canterbury needed some help to support themselves through a multitude of things that they were going to need to do, and it was really large. It just seemed huge, and so the government invested quite a few $1 million into bringing together support agencies to actually achieve that process, and also provide free counselling that came into play straight away for people that were traumatised by the events that happened straight after September. Yeah. So
you are partially to do with the government. We were talking NGOs in the break, so you are strictly speaking an NGO?
So initially the service got up and running by a number of NGO agencies.
And by that we're referring to non-government organisations?
Yep. Yeah. So the government funded that to get it up and running, and it was a one-on-one service delivered by a multiple number of agencies across different sectors in the social support agencies that were already in place. So they came with knowledge and skill base around how to work with the people, you know, in those categories to try and assist them through what was, at that stage, probably not identified a very long process, but more complex through working with different agencies, bureaucracies, processes was just massive.
Huge,
and
absolutely.
Has proved to be the case. So,
I mean, I certainly know personally timescales have blown out, because at the time talking about sort of still dealing with these issues in 4 or 5 years seemed unreal, and yet of course here we are.
Yeah.
And it seems like time has hardly passed. Joe, thank you for coming in as well. What is your role exactly?
So I'm the manager of the Canterbury Earthquake Temporary Accommodation Service. It's a service that contributes to the Earthquake Coordination Service and to the collaboration. We also have 2 other streams of work, which is the temporary accommodation assistance and matching and placement. And we're a service, a collaboration between Ministry of Social Development and Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment, and we've come together to support the residents of Canterbury, again through the recovery, and assisting in either funding temporary accommodation if they're having to move out of their home because of earthquake repair or rebuild, but also assisting them with the matching and placement of alternative accommodation.
Now, you're talking accommodation where it's not covered by somebody's insurance policy and that kind of thing, so it's quite separate to that, isn't it?
Absolutely. So when somebody's insurance assistance finishes, then that's when we assist with their temporary accommodation assistance. However, we can assist with the matching and placement, you know, in preparation for someone when they need to, you know that they've got a house that they need to move out of, and assist them with finding alternative accommodation. We assist them both in the private market, because we have a number of connections into landlords and rental companies, but also we have 4 temporary villages that the government have funded that we support as temporary accommodation as well.
Of course. Now, actually, this temporary accommodation side of it is often the most stressful part of the entire process. I certainly know from my own experience, you know, we had 4 moves in 4 months while it was being done, and that's only small compared to some people. When it becomes a real social issue like that, you're actually starting to deal with a whole lot of emotional issues too. Is that where some of your energy gets directed?
So an earthquake support coordinator would work alongside a person to assist them with the issues and plans that they need to achieve. So it's a one-on-one service. The coordinator goes to the resident, so they don't have to come to an appointment. It's all dedicated around where the homeowner wishes to be seen and worked with. So it might be their house.
Transport issues as well, haven't we? You know, people can't always get to where they need to go.
That's
so
right,
yes, okay.
yeah. And it could be a cafe that's next door to their workplace because the lunch break suits them. You know, anywhere they need to have that meeting, we will go to, and support them to identify the things they need to achieve to be able to get to the end of that, what would be a recovery process for them around their accommodation and the wellbeing needs that come out of that as well. So like you say, the emotional stress, might be children, could be grandparents, might be health. And those things change.
As
well. Could be pets.
Pets is quite a major one that comes up.
Yeah.
You know, it's a very, very difficult to organise all of this.
Yeah.
And sometimes even just the process of going through and having to make these decisions can be insurmountable for people.
Absolutely.
So we wouldn't advise them around their decisions, but a coordinator will ensure that the resident has actually heard what's being said to them so that they're making a good and a well-informed decision. And often the coordinators will attend meetings with the resident, whether it be with EQC, their insurance company, any of those types of environment, might be an on-site meeting, and that's a lot of the residents use it as a second ear, so just making sure I've heard the right conversation, the communication, understanding it all, so that they feel comfortable they're making an informed decision. And the
so
staff
that steps into advocacy side of it, does it? At
it's
that point?
not advocacy, because advocacy in the wider context, it's more of a support mechanism to ensure they understand it. Advocacy would be in this is more advice and speaking on behalf of. So we wouldn't. As a service, we don't do that. It's more of a support to allow the homeowner to be able to achieve that process for themselves. And the staff coming from the agencies, whether it's the non-government ones or the government contributor to that collaborative service of the ESC service, they come from migrant services, they come from the aged area, Pacific, Maori culture. So there's a wide range of skill base to actually support people.
Talking to both you and Joe, I think it's really important that people realise there are so many different services out there and that there really is no excuse for people falling through the gaps. There's something there to help people. So if you need it and you're watching this and going, yes, but nobody's helped me, there are services here. Sometimes it's just asking the right questions and being pointed in the right direction. Joe and Nikki, thank you very much for your time today. So that's an awful lot of information for people to take on board. If you think that you would like to have a chat to somebody, we've got a couple of numbers for you. They're going to come up on the screen. There they are there. It's the Canterbury support line. That's 0800 777 846. Now this is the main number that you can call and they will sort you out as to which division, which service you need. You can chat to these people and they will decide where your needs are going to be best met and give you the right people to talk to. Sometimes that's all you need, is to be pointed in the right direction. Now, of course, if accommodation is an issue for you, the Canterbury Earthquake Temporary Accommodation Service is on 0800 673 227. And of course, it's through that Canterbury support line that you can also be directed to the temporary accommodation number 2. They've got everything you need to know right there. I also want to point out too that that does include counselling services too. We're talking the emotional side of it. We're also talking the social services side of it as well. So give them a call, have a chat to them. They'll point you in the right direction. So join us next week. We're going to be looking at the legal side of things. We're going to be looking at the Earthquake Act and the legal issues that are involved there. We're talking also pre-existing versus earthquake damage, how you sort between them both. It's quite a minefield. I'll see you then.